Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Keenan Lambert, and in this video we're going to talk about a topic that's taboo, something that a lot of people don't like to talk about. It is woman tourism to Jamaica for the purpose of sex. Here we go.
Give me the island breeze, cool them vibes, coconut jelly, peas and rice, house and land, and we sharp like a knife, green in abundance, real love around me, yeah. You want to know where we coming from? Say you want come look for me, yeah. If you're willing to have some fun, I could keep you company. Move that way, come girl, blunder right by me. Squeeze that tight, make it trip down the neighbor.
Generally speaking, across the globe and here in the Caribbean, the gender that is the culprit for the majority of sex tourism is no doubt men. We know this. It's something that's extensively covered, on TV, in documentaries, even here on YouTube. But what about the other direction, right? That's not something that a lot of people like to talk about.
So when you're younger, with the tourist women, you just meet them on the beach, or
all right?
Okay.
The guys didn't have to do a lot in those days, right? Mm-hmm. Because they came down here to fuck.
Right. Yeah, that was understood.
It was on. And in the 70s, there were no diseases, They might have a gonorrhea or something like that. Right, and it's over.
Yeah. Every year to Jamaica, there are countless numbers of women from the UK, Europe, and the US who come here to link with Jamaican men. Now, believe it or not, this is actually a perfect match. You have, on one side, you have women coming from the westernized developed world, where they are under-socialized and, if you could say this, under-sexed. We're living post-COVID in a world that is a lot more socially distant. People come in social contact a lot less frequently now. Dating apps, the usage of dating apps is flowing through the roof because people are no longer comfortable just going into a space, starting up a conversation with someone, and then seeing where it develops from there. Although, when women come down here, it just seems to be a different story. And on the other side, you have Jamaican men who are economically disadvantaged, as Jamaica does not have much industry. In Jamaica, you have service industry, you have a dying or an already dead bauxite industry, and then there's a foreign-dominated tourism industry. Even in the event that a brother has a job here in Jamaica, it's still not going to be paying all that much. And for that reason, a lot of Jamaican men are looking abroad, are looking for opportunities abroad, and then they meet this undersexed, maybe not as beautiful, or maybe very, very beautiful professional woman from the westernized world, and there's that link that's made. On the one side, you have women that are coming from the westernized world. In many cases, they are lonely, hyper-educated, and along with that, undersexed. Then they come here and they meet a Jamaican man who is underemployed or undercompensated for his employment and simply looking for an opportunity abroad where he can make more money and make something of himself. Even for professionals here in Jamaica, in terms of what they make here versus what they could make, say, in the States, there is just a huge gap. I have a friend who is a forensic scientist here. You'll actually see her in another video. Maybe she's making somewhere south of $20 per hour, if $20 per hour. Meanwhile, in the States, she could be earning anywhere from $90,000 on up. The money difference is real, and for a Jamaican who is ambitious, who is educated, or even undereducated, there is still that desire to go abroad and make more. One could make more being uneducated abroad as opposed to being educated here in Jamaica, on average. Now, some of you may be saying to yourself, hey Keenan, how the hell do you know about this? Very clearly from your accent, you've been living in the States for a long time. Now, that's correct. I was actually born in the States. However, I do have younger years here in Jamaica, and I still do remember every single part of it. Okay, one of which is me hanging out on the beaches as a young lad, very much in shape during my teenage years before I started discovering food. However, during that time, I very distinctly remember being propositioned, if you will, by older women from Canada, from the US. And I tell you what, I wasn't alone in that, okay? It was something that happened to, all of the young guys, okay? When you look at resorts and the staff that work at resorts, they're very much underpaid, as I mentioned previously. And there's a constant stream of women coming from these developed nations into Jamaica. They're getting liquor in the system and they're getting brave. The next time that you go to a resort and you get cool with a particular staff member that's a male here in Jamaica, I want you to ask him, bro, how much tourist girl you chop out since you're there? You know, I had a friend here actually on the north coast of Jamaica. He worked in a series of different resorts here on the north coast, and literally every time I'd come, I'd see him by accident, okay? And I remember very clearly that he told me that every day for him, it's a new woman. Every single day, it's a new woman. That's a lot of traffic. You know, that's a lot of traffic. Maybe he worked in the North Jamaica tourism industry for about maybe 6 years. Say he was lying about half of them, right? And, you know, we're talking about maybe not all of them new, maybe some of them repeats, girls coming back to see him. That's like 120 new joints every year. 120 new joints every year. And right now, actually, or let me actually tell the story of what happened. So he ended up meeting a woman, and then she would come back to see him and so forth, and they actually ended up getting married. Then he moved off to the States and he's had several children with her. I believe it's several, it might be one, it might be two, I can't recall in this moment, but they have children together, he's happy, and he's earning far more in the States than he did while he was here. So I guess it worked out for both of them. She has a partner that loves her, or maybe he does love her, but she has a partner that loves her. He has an opportunity to do well in the States, and he's got his genetic progeny living with him in the States. Yeah, so in addition to my friend that I just told you about, there are a lot of men living here in Jamaica, or actually other English-speaking islands, who have formed relationships with women, got visas, and moved off to the developed world. Although here in Jamaica there is a culture that supports and encourages men to be as promiscuous as possible, right? To chop down as many women as possible, right? It doesn't necessarily exist the same way for women. Same thing. So for that reason, right, sex tourism sort of flourishes where men are the object of the desire. Meanwhile, in other islands, especially islands that are Spanish speaking, it actually happens the opposite way. See, some of you may be curious, right? You may be wondering, Keenan, did you ever bite the bait at any point? Well, you know, there was this young researcher, I think she was at the time, who was quite nice and very adamant and aggressive. And at that time I was quite young, so I succumbed to the pressure. But don't get me wrong though, it does definitely happen the other way, where men are actually seeking out relationships with these foreign women that are coming here. I actually remember an instance where I was hanging out with these young British girls. I was young too at the time, and there was a guy that I knew. He came by, he was like, yo bro, can I get one of them gal there? And I wanted to protect them, or maybe I was just cock blocking, I don't know. And I said to him, no, I said, them gal ya for me, right? So I definitely was actually protecting them in that case from the men who were actually in the area and circling like vultures. I'm actually still friends with one of those young ladies who I was protecting in that moment, and she actually lives in the UK still. And maybe, I don't know, maybe you guys might see her in a future video. We'll see if I ever go back to the UK. You know, when I make these videos, I want it to be thought-provoking. I want it to, stir up conversation between me and you, between, you folks talking with each other, respectfully, of course. Okay, so you see the inbox down below? I want you guys to light it up with questions, comments, things that you've seen while you're here or in other islands, and let's get into it. Let's have a conversation. Let's really talk about sex tourism, what it looks like, how it differs place to place. I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. I might be going down to the beach.